We have all 18 chapters done, and also revisions and updates on at least a half a dozen of them. So if you found the slides helpful in your own personal study and perhaps in your preaching application, at the very end we'll put my email up. All you have to do is send an email send to my email, your email, and Abai, who does the computer work for us, will put your name on a Google list, and then when you receive that email, you can just press any one of the chapters, plus some older special groupings, charts, and whatever's there. And you just press on that, and you have access to almost 3 years' worth of slides, hundreds of them. And we've tried to keep up with the times, with the changes in technology, with the changes in the whole atmosphere. Each time we do this, we try to increase the simplicity and the learner friendliness, because people are now pressured more than ever, and they're all on phones and they have no time to read. So the slides that we're doing now are meant to be very minimal but very basic, and to help people grasp at least the essence of what Prabhupada was giving us. It's the most precious gift anybody could give humanity. So we're just trying to help each other and other people appreciate it. Yes, yeah.
I want to go and ask, there's a glare on the, so you can't cut the light. So I turn off on the lights.
If you find that helpful, if everybody's going to find it difficult, maybe some of the lights, if some find it difficult to read the handout, then that would be a problem. Okay? It's a reflection. No, you need to see the screen. The screen is critical. The handout is there. Right, but the screen, is that better? Okay, you can, just give us feedback along the way. Okay, now in these interactives, we have increased what we have discovered and educationists have discovered to be learner-friendly aspects. And one of them is multisensory. That's why we have images on the screen, and also to have a hard copy handout. And in addition, a little bit of repetition. And we also stress certain retention points that those of you who are participating should have with you when you leave. It's not just passive, it's active, because if you're involved actively a little bit, your retention goes up to almost 70% as opposed to being passive. So that is why we go to this extent. The point of the Shastras is to give the mind food for meditation on Krishna. And meditation requires content. So if you have a remembrance, increased remembrance of what we're learning, then that's your meditation. I'll just touch it to my head. Thank you. You have, meditation requires content. That's what Prabhupada's arguing. We can't meditate on a void or on nothing. That's completely impossible. All right, so the first step when we have a presentation is to examine the resources available to you. These are meant to be used for future study. They're not what we will encompass the whole time. But it's here just as a book. We'll have an index and we'll have many parts to be complete. We try to make these complete. But in our presentations, what we do is that we focus on from general to increasingly specific, and we use principles of study, and we share them as to these are strategies that you should interweave in your own personal study. Okay, that's how we go about it. Now there's your cover, so we take a look and we quickly do what we call just a scan of what we have, and then on the inside of the cover we have our retention checklist, and we focus on that because that means what should I have remembered after this participation. After that you have the question, or the study bank, and that affords you later on to fill in If you were taking a test on this chapter, a simple one, nothing too complicated, but if you were taking a test, could I answer that after we have shown you slides and covered the retention points? Then you have the slokas in the Bhagavad-Gita, but presented in a more, what shall I say, learner-friendly method. What we have done is giving you a picture of the breakdowns of the chapter, as well as each of the slokas, but with a title word for each sloka. Those title words have other designations. Sometimes they're called prompting words. Sometimes they're called trigger words. Sometimes they're called anchor words. The whole idea is so that you have a way to link easily from one sloka to the next. Otherwise, it's quite easy to get lost, as they say, lose yourself in the forest for the trees. And where am I? What verse is it? This helps you, and also doing breakdowns. We emphasize the structure of the chapter. So I know, oh, this topic belongs there, and I can identify it if I hear it. You don't have to necessarily know all the slokas by heart. That's not our intention. Very few people do, and even some who do, if they haven't had Prabhupada's mercy, they don't really understand, well, what was the purpose of all of this? So you have about 8 sides there for all of the verses, and we've even put in some small icons, so it breaks up the amount of text. People don't read much text now. It has to be, you have an image, it has to be a big, bold picture, and a few words. That's about it. You just look at people with the phones. That's what's happening. So we try to address that. We have to address time, place, and circumstances. The key memory verses here are quite numerous. Even though this chapter, people might say, oh, Dhyan Yoga, right? It's impractical. I don't need to know this chapter. But look at the number of important verses that are quoted as key. There's one that's a key memory verse. That's the last one. And all of the other, it totals 15 altogether. These are quoted regularly, frequently, and in the Bhakti Shastri, the preachers are required to know this. Because what's important in this chapter is that any meditative process, no matter what it is, requires certain aspects. So that's what these, and we've shown you the whole thing here. We've given you the slokas, the Sanskrit, word for word, and the slokas itself. That's another 8 pages. Again, don't be overwhelmed by the amount of text, but it's learner friendly, and you have a before and after chart to fill in. Can I remember which verses were important? Okay, or at least the key one, right? Then we have definitions. This is very extensive, and this is from every purport of Srila Prabhupada's. According to the subdivisions, we have taken a word that he has particularly defined. Or if there's particularly another quote from another book, like the Upanishads or somewhere else, or Rupa Goswami he quotes a lot, or he quotes from the Bhagavatam. We've entered that in there, so you have an extensive reference. This is what you call an analytical approach. You're dissecting the chapter. And whatever parts you want to focus on, they're there in detail for you, okay? Now the next part, we have analogies and examples. For this, again, broken down by subdivisions, and they're quite extensive. The slides I have for that were done about 2 years ago. But I doubt we would have the time, but if we would, those are taken from the purports. Those analogies and examples, and often many of them are direct analogies from the sloka, or Prabhupada's giving you a different analogy, and those will help you understand what we call the underview. What does this sloka actually mean? Because Prabhupada is the only one who gave us the key to understanding. On the back of that, we have a few images of some simple slides that are, again, really the critical understanding of this chapter. Black and white's a little hard to tell. Then we have verses. A value self-assessment checklist. These I had done years ago. I don't spend so much time on that now, but everywhere, according to topic, where Prabhupada gives, well, what is the criterion for being a yogi? What is the criterion for being a sannyasi? What is the criterion for being a mystic? And I took all of those, and they are numbered from 1 to 5. And that's for you, because we have to assess ourselves. We don't really have people walking around next to us all day long saying, I think you need to improve this, or I think maybe you need to be, because actually people, they don't want to necessarily preach to each other, but this is your chance to preach to yourself. Again, quite extensive, but it's coming from the purport. So, as I said, we've tried to provide everything there for you to have access to. We have also given you, there's a little simple question bank at the end for each sloka, if you can answer that. It's quite extensive. There are quite a few people, you don't see them necessarily here, but who actually use these materials in their preaching. They use them extensively. And so it's now available. You get the printout, but most of them have to go online and just like that. Okay, then I have also added a newer feature. This is called List of Cited Verses. And this feature is coming from online. I think after Chapter 6, I don't know that they do this, but at least for this one, you can see every single sloka, I think out of the 47, maybe 46, Prabhupada quoted them. So this has to be an important chapter. Otherwise, he wouldn't have cited all those references, right? It can be minimized because we can say, well, we don't really do Dhyana Yoga. That's not possible. But there's so much in here that Prabhupada would refer to. And, of course, the final one. You'll see the number of times. That's over 200 times for Yoginam Api Sarvesham. That's the key memory verse. Okay, then we have a chart section that's separate. Now these charts, this first one, and I have failed to bring it along, but I keep forgetting, this little book was done years ago, 2013, but it's a little 1881 book, and it's nothing more than a little mind map of every chapter according to topic. And these are very, very handy. Devotees who can use it find every time they're reading a chapter, it helps them access very quickly basic information. So here you have pages from that. You have the section chart here with the before and after. This is all the information, and down here is the blank, so that if you like to do an interactive, you can say, oh yes, I know all the chapter titles in the Karma Yoga section. And then you have 647, then you see on that chart a blank under the original. And I could fill that in. I know how many slokas now there are, I know how many topics, and I could fill that in. So it's there for you to actually put to use. We give you these, we give pens. Sometimes people like to do it right in the interaction. Then you have a before and after of what we call the picture charts. I've moved more toward that because people are attracted to images, and it helps us with just one word underneath to summarize. What's the topic here that we're trying to cover, okay? And you get the blank. Yes, can I do that? And do I know where? Okay? And then we have it in code form. Codes are very simple. Once you know the topic, you can communicate quickly with codes. Just like chemistry, you can say, we always say H2O means water, right? And you just say H2O. You don't have to say hydrogen and oxygen. Okay? Makes it fast and simple. So the code chart's also there. And then we have some VIHE charts here, which were done many, many years ago by a devotee, Tyagti Chanya, and we've included those. So if you'd like to have reference to those, he has one on the Astanga Yoga process, showing the beginning and the advanced stages. And then he also has given us the 6 enemies of the mind. The mind is the key focal point in this chapter. The mind can deliver us, and the mind can keep us in bondage. So the whole emphasis of the yoga process is controlling the mind. And then we have a comparative chart of the yogi as opposed to the devotee. And that's all coming from the VIHG charts. And he has given those different categories. What is the nature of a devotee, philosophy, his mentality, his action, and the result. So you can compare the two systems. Because from the very beginning, from the whole Bhagavad-Gita, Prabhupada's always giving you the superiority of the Krishna conscious process. Because it's the topmost. It's not as though he's a fanatic. It's the goal of all other yoga processes. It is the perfectional stage in terms of knowledge, in terms of practice, in terms of realization. So Prabhupada never hesitated from the very beginning. He would always show you, well, yes, karma yoga, but the best karma yogi is one who is in Krishna consciousness. The best dhyana yogi is the one who's in Krishna. The best sannyasi is who's in Krishna consciousness. And now he's telling you the best mystic is the one who's in Krishna consciousness. He's the actual mystic. Prabhupada's doing it right and left. And then for your meditation, Prabhupada in a lecture, he said the material ocean is a vast ocean, and we have to cross it. And he said, we need a sturdy boat. And he said, well, what's that boat? And he said, the lotus feet of Krishna. He said, that is our meditation. So you have here the footmarks for Radha Krishna and also for Chaitanya and Nityananda. So if you'd like to meditate on those when you're chanting, it's a very, very wonderful meditation. Actually, when I was reading everywhere, all the meditations, all the queens of Krishna, when they were telling Draupadi how they got married and what was their service, many of them just pray that I can always serve the lotus feet of Krishna. Some of them are just housekeepers. That's something big or special. They say, I just pray to be the servant of the lotus feet of Krishna. So that's their prayer. What to speak of for us. Okay, those are the queens of Dwarka. Okay, so you know what you have now? All right. Now, we're going to show you, first of all, our theme slide. We always like to have a reality check. Some people say, oh, Bhagavad-Gita, that's old, that's not new, that's not timely. So our theme is Team Viewer. Now, if you have a mechanical device, you may know what this is, and if you have a computer. If you don't, what's a Team Viewer? Okay, a Team Viewer, and here I put Team Viewer, and I put the quote, I'm seated in everyone's heart. So who's that? Krishna. Yeah, I'm seated. So whatever we perceive, we can perceive our reality, but nobody else's entirely, right? Like 100% of the time, we know our reality, but there's one other person who also does, and who's that? Krishna. So he's our team viewer. And that's really important in this chapter, because the realization from the 5th chapter was that Super Soul is there, and he's the one who's actually sanctioning everything. He's the one who's, making everything possible within your body. He's sitting in your heart. And a person who is on that platform, he's well on his way to liberation. When you have realized Super Soul is not only in you, but in everybody else sitting here, and Super Soul's keeping it straight. He's the universal manager. Now we have here another picture. I wanted to show you what it looks like on my computer. That one, and on my tablet, that's what it looks like. And it's an app. It's when I have a problem, there's a devotee who's far away who can log into my computer and he can help me fix the problem. That's Krishna. I've got a problem, Krishna. Help me. You have to have awareness, but there's somebody else who's your team viewer. That's what it looks like on the app. And let's take a look of another thing we can relate to in real life. We're going to see Abai in the next picture. And Abai's upstairs, and he's working in Ganapati's office, and on his desktop is a desk monitor. And that's the unseen witness. Now that's Super Soul again. And on that screen, Abai can see what's happening somewhere else. That's also Super Soul. That's Krishna. And if they have a problem, they've had problems like that, where the cameras were there taking pictures, and they were able to identify, oh, no, that person was the problem, not whoever they accused, right? So that's a realistic, everyday example of you're actually being monitored all the time, from morning till night. And it's a permanent recording, and the devas will give you your next body. The bodies we're sitting in here now were given to us after our last karmic period, and whatever we're doing now is going to award us our next body, good or lesser or better, right? So we're realizing we're on video. So always keep that in mind. When you're thinking, when you're speaking, when you're acting, it's not as though there's a break. This is your Krishna conscious awareness level, very important. Okay, now in the spiritual world, I put this in here because Super Soul drops away, and in this chapter, this is the section on which we develop our love for Krishna. If you make it back to Godhead, Super Soul is for the material world, and he's neutral. He's neutral. He's just like the judge. He just passes out the results of your actions. But in the spiritual world, Krishna is the one you have a direct relationship with, and it's different. Krishna really is your dearmost friend. He's your friend now, but there it's completely intimate. according to one of the 5 rasas that everybody here has a rasa with Krishna, eternally. We're here to revive it. Krishna consciousness is something not new, it's something forgotten. We have forgotten, and we're trying to remember. Okay? So in the spiritual world, the interesting thing is the gopas all think Krishna's just looking at them. They all think that. Oh, it's just me. And the queens, each of them is in a palace, but she doesn't know what the other queens are doing, and she's not worried about it. It's just me with Krishna. They don't know. And the gopis are dancing. Oh, Krishna is only with me. But he's with everybody. He doesn't apparent. So even with us, we may think, oh, this is my deity, my Krishna, my Krishna. He's interacting with everybody. So that's the speciality of Krishna. And that's what we try to attain by the end of this 6th chapter. Okay? Now, I want to go quickly, some basic philosophical points. Let's go to the instructional objectives. And we created a new little folder that are sort of like bottom line understanding before we go further. We can always communicate better if we know, okay, I realize this, I know this is basic Krishna conscious material. Okay, is this in the instruction? Okay. Oh yeah, this is our procedure. We always are here. What are we going to do today? We're going to put the pieces together. Next, quickly, we're going to look at it from a bird's eye view, and then the topic review, and then if we have time, the analogies. So it's 3 levels of perception, zoom in and zoom out. And then we also start with the big picture, so at least we've got the aerial view. And then the next thing we do is we master the structure. And then the next thing we do is we organize it, so we know what goes where. And then the next thing we do is we walk you through the slokas, right? Stepping stones. It's called walkthrough. It's a walkthrough strategy. I don't just try to go to one sloka and then get the whole picture. It won't work in reverse like that. And then the next thing we do is the sandwich approach. If we have time for purports, we show you how to use the first and last sentence to know what it's all about. And the in between will give you the 3 evidence. Prabhupada uses Shabda Brahman, he uses Pratyaksha, and he also uses Anuman. Okay? If you know that about a purport, it's not such a mystery. It's a recipe. First sentence tells me the topic, last sentence tells me the conclusion. The 3 other aspects will lead me to accepting the conclusion. That's what a purport does. Okay? Now the next, we're going to sort of begin now. There was some more in this one. Basic understandings. Let's go a little further. Yeah, that's my email. And next, what else in that packet? That's the study procedure. Okay, let's go to the one that says philosophical points, because now you know the procedure. These are some basic things you need to know. How does the Bhagavad-Gita progress? It's not just random. The first level of realization is, number 1, a person has to have doubts about material life. If he thinks he's fine, he's not ready for Bhagavad-Gita, right? So what's chapter 1 do you? What does it do? Yeah, I got perplexities. I don't want to fight and kill my relatives. And then number 2, what do you do if you're ready to advance? Because advancement means you're more pure, less suffering, right? Happier, and you're progressing. It's progressive. Now, if you've taken to a guru, you're progressing. Now, number 3, what does the guru tell you to do? Yeah, you offer everything to Vishnu. You offer, whatever you do, offer to Vishnu. And then no reaction, no bondage. Okay? And if I do that, and then you progress to level 4. Now, what's that? Knowledge. Yes, the fruit of sacrifice is knowledge. What kind? Transcendental, not schoolbook knowledge. That's not transcendental knowledge. You don't get that if you go to any university, Cambridge, Oxford, IIT, MIT. They're not going to tell you transcendental knowledge. They're going to deny it. Right? Don't talk about God. And then if I have increased knowledge, which is gyan, and I follow that process. Then what happens in chapter 5? Liberation. Yeah, I get liberated. I see that's liberation. I see super soul everywhere. I'm acting on a very elevated level. And that's liberation. And if I perfect liberation, which was the last chapter, that means in this chapter, I focus on that super soul. I want to see him in my heart. And that chapter's Dhyana Yoga. That's what he wants to do. The Dhyana yogi does not want to decrease body fat or increase, the length of his life. The Dhyana yogi wants to have darshan of the Vishnu Murti in the heart. He focuses on that. And that is meditation. When we perfect this chapter, what do we realize? That this Vishnu Murti is also Krishna. And then you're ready for the middle section, bhakti. Right? You're ready for bhakti. So this is how the Bhagavad-Gita, up till now, is bringing us to different levels of God consciousness. It's not just random. Now you have to see, well, where am I? Am I, how's my knowledge? Or am I liberated? Or am I, do I see the Vishnu Murti? Actually, if you're sitting here, you have surpassed that. If you're worshiping Krishna, you've done this in other lifetimes, but you may not have remembered. Okay, if you're chanting Hare Krishna and if you're worshiping Krishna, you already went through this. But Prabhupada said to understand bhakti, you really have to have an analytical understanding of all of the other preliminary steps on the yoga ladder. Is everybody following this okay? Is it clear? Okay. So you're all fortunate. It says one who comes to Krishna consciousness is extremely fortunate. Very unbelievably fortunate. Okay, so that was an important one. And where are we on the yoga ladder? You see the dotted lines there? Okay, everybody see that one? Below the dotted line is, at the very bottom, most people are animal life. They're not following any regulations. They're doing what they like, and that's it. If they follow karma kanda, it's at least human. They're accepting authority, but they're going to stay bound because they want the fruit. If I cross that line, I realize yoga shows up. Yoga, yoga, yoga. That means I link what I do with the Supreme. That's what yoga means. Yoga doesn't mean exercises. It doesn't mean, they will define it anyway, according to their level of understanding. But yoga means linking with the Supreme. And you have stages where it's karma yoga, I offer the fruit of my work, and then it's jnana yoga, I study, right? To come to the point of, I have to read about super soul. Did anybody know about super soul before you came to Krishna consciousness? I don't think I didn't. Never thought about it. And then Ashtanga yoga. Now the purpose of that was that they wanted to see him. They just didn't want to go to the forest for no reason, to get away from everything. No, I have to, but it's very specific and it's mechanical. Bhakti is natural because it's the natural state of the soul. These other processes are to some degree lesser, right? And if I perfect that, I either get Paramatma realization or I get Brahman realization if I go from Gyan. But the only way to get to bhakti is from a devotee. The devotee will come and he will plant the seed in your heart. And that's how you get bhakti. You can't just do it from the ascent. You need help from a devotee of the Lord who comes and plants the seed in your heart. So that's where you are. And you've crossed that line now. You're in transcendence. Anything in between, you're still in the conditional imprisoned state. And over here, we always put this chart. You have here spiritual, transcendence, and you have material, which is bondage. This one is reality. This is the perverted illusion. This one is trying to detach from matter. This one is attaching to Krishna. However one you want to call it, those two worlds exist. One is spiritual, one is material. So those understanding, well, I'm still in the material, I've still got a body, I'm still somewhat conditioned, but we have to get out of that condition, those lines, Okay? All right, so there, and yeah, this is important. Does everybody know he has 2 duties? You have 2 duties. You have your conditional duty. That means I've got a body and maybe I took birth as a female or a male, or maybe I'm in India, or maybe I'm in Russia, or maybe I'm young or old. That's conditional according to your body given at birth. You have to do that. As long as you can't give it up. You know, if you're a housewife, you have to cook for your family. If you're a husband, you have to support the family. If you give up your duty, you incur sin. But you also, most people on the planet do not know they have a constitutional duty. And that means this is what I do in the spiritual world. They chant Hare Krishna. Right? So chanting Hare Krishna is the constitutional duty that we all have. And only the devotees know that. And we have to increase that one and decrease this one. Not artificially, you can't give it up. But the degree to that you increase this one is the degree to which you decrease that one. Everybody follow okay? So 2 duties. Most of the people on the planet don't know that if they're not chanting Hare Krishna, they're incurring sin. Because they're not paying their utility bill. Chanting Hare Krishna gives you, the basics. Rice, dal, chapatis. Protection. Without it, you're out there just getting your karma and making more, and you're going to stay in bondage, rotating helplessly. Okay, that's very important. What is another basic philosophy? Yeah, the 3 levels of God realization. I think everybody knows. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Right? You all know this. But we want to make sure, because sometimes we get people who don't know. See that? Okay. And he compares it to the sun globe, sunshine, sun globe, and sun god. All right? These are old slides. This is very important. If you're conditioned, you see this duality, body consciousness. It looks like I'm causing something or something is being inflicted on me. But if you're more advanced, you're super soul conscious and you're realizing there's a remote cause. And if you're more advanced, you realize there's a cause of everything. And who's that? Krishna. He's above all of that. So he's numero uno. Okay? So we're trying to come to super soul consciousness in this chapter, and even beyond that, elevate to full Krishna conscious awareness. Okay? And that's just another way of saying the same thing. Okay, go ahead. And yeah, there are 3 causes to action. Super soul. The soul can desire. The super soul says, okay, if you have the credit. You can be a king, but you have to have the merit. And nature carries it out. So whatever you see going on is being carried out by what? Nature, right? Material nature. Now let's see one more I think I put in there. Yeah, if you're conditioned, you have 3 prison walls. Everybody conditioned who's sitting here? Yes, you've got a body. Your first prison wall is what? Your body, your mind. What's your next prison wall? Terrestrial laws, yes. Society laws, right. Try to break a law, you'll be in prison. And the next one, higher than that, is what? Cosmic laws, the devas. The heat, the rain, the thunderstorms, the drought, the tsunamis, the earthquakes, the tornadoes. Those are all, and they all have reactions. If you do something wrong on the psychophysiological level, if you eat too much or your mind, you go crazy or you get sick. There are limits. You are surrounded by 3 prison walls. And that's what spiritual life does. It gets you out of those prison walls. We're in prison, folks. Doesn't sound like a nice thing to be proud of, does it? Prison suits and karma on your forehead and on your hands. Huh? Okay, next. And everybody has these problems. We always show this slide. Everybody makes mistakes. He has imperfect senses. He's illusioned and he's cheating propensity. And he's envious of Krishna and of other people. Anybody you see walking around, he can be the king of a country or the prime minister or a president. They've got it too. And also, what's the result? Do they suffer? Yes. They suffer what? Yeah, Adhyamika, Adhibodhika, Adevika. And also they suffer what? Birth, old age, disease, and death. Does the Queen of England not die? Of course. And does the Prime Minister not die? Of course. Do they not get sick? Yes. It's the package deal. So this is bottom line. Everybody agree to this? Okay, anything less? This we don't need. I think that's it. I wanted to show, that we've done that so much, I wanted to show the one with, we added that one, the color, that one. The body that we have, I hate to tell you this, but it is the multiple reaction of sinful activity. Now, is that something to be proud of? Whatever body we have is the result of previous sinful life. Anything you see, material life forms, be it the squirrel on the roof, the monkey on the terrace, the person walking around, that package is the result of sinful life. Not so nice, huh? Think about it. So don't, you see all these people on Facebook and on media, and they're, like, oh, my goodness. It's ignorance. Ignorance, right? Now we see differently. We see through Shastra. Okay, that was it, I think. Now let's do our retention points really fast. And we want to go through that. So take out your little sheets. And this is one thing you should know by coming here. Okay, quickly. On the first point of our checklist, retention points. Now we spend a lot of time on this because this is general knowledge. You have to start with the basics. Number 1, what's the title, everybody? Loudly. Oh, come on. I always hear the kirtan leaders. Louder, everybody? I'll start to be like Madhava. A little louder, please. Yeah, as far as Satchidananda does that. One more time, my dear devotees. Right? Or Madhava, now louder. Because remember, everybody out there is listening, and if you guys aren't doing anything, is there anybody there? Of course, there are a lot of people here. Okay, everybody know the title? What is it? Yeah. You're going to remember that? Yes. What's the chapter number?
6.
Very good. Everybody one more time? 6. Good. What is the number of verses that we have? 47. Yes. 47, and I always say, well, that's one more than 46, the number of letters in the Sanskrit alphabet. Use little tricks for numbers. 47 verses. So now you know 3 things. You may not know that before. What section of the Bhagavad-Gita are we in? Come on. Come on. Everybody. Thank you. It is like leading a kirtan. Louder, please. Everybody, please chant. We're in the Karma Yoga section, and it's the last one, right?
Yes.
Yes. We're ready now for Bhakti. We've gone through all the yoga processes. Now we're going to do there you see it, the Karma Yoga. Now we're going to do the topics. Now this is critical. We have quick ways to learn this. We're going to do the numbers first, because I've got 5 topics, right? And I see, what number do I see repeated? 9. How many times? 3 times. If I multiply 9 by 2, what do I get?
18.
You see all your numbers? Now let's say them in order. 9, 18, 9, 2. Try it again. Loud.
9, 18, 9, 2.
Okay. Now we know how big the topics are. And they're progressive. It's not as though I'm just memorizing something for the sake of it. No. It's a growth period. It's logical. It'll make it easy when you see the logic. Let us start now with the first topic. It's 9. The first topic defines yoga, and it talks about the advanced and the beginning and advanced stages. The beginning is Yoga Rurukshu. What is it?
Yoga Rurukshu.
And the advanced is Yoga Rudha. What is it?
Yoga Rudha.
Right, and that's what your chart on the yogic said. The advanced yogi is Yoga Rudha. The beginning is Yoga Rurukshu. So that's the first topic. Plus they'll talk about the mind. Okay? You'll see that when we get into the slokas. Now, the next stage is called the stages, I showed the arrow, the stages of yoga practice. How do I do it? How many slokas?
18.
Right, how do I do it? So this is called the practice. If I know I'm going to do it, I have to know how. So in 18 slokas, we get a very scientific explanation of how. And it's not sitting in New York with about 500 other people trying to lose weight. Right? It's not that. All right, now the next one is in the middle. This one is what we call the perfectional stage. What's the result of all that? I'm sitting in the forest by myself on a deer skin, staring at my nose. Why? Because I want to suffer? Now, what's the perfectional stage? And that is we see Krishna as the what? Super soul. What is it, everybody? Louder.
Krishna is the super soul.
Thank you. I've had to learn from Madhava when I listen to him do a kirtan. Louder, everybody. Okay, now, the problem, Arjuna starts to get a little nervous, and he's saying, wait a minute, Krishna, I don't think I can do this. It sounds great. Even the perfectional, but I just don't think I can do it. And what happens if I can't? Now, that's all of us. What if we don't make it? It's a possibility. Is everybody here going to wind up in Goloka? Well, what happens to us? This is the real key part. So 9 slokas, what's the destination of the unsuccessful yogi? What is it, everybody?
Destination of death.
Yes, the destination of the unsuccessful yogi. Where's he going to go? You know, I'm old, man. I'm 74 and my time is running out. And I'm thinking, what am I going to be next? You hope at least better. And at the end, we have only 2 slokas in which we wrap up the whole argument and we find out who's the topmost yogi. And who is it? Yeah, the person who's in devotional service. Always thinking of Krishna. Yogi Nam Abhisarvesham. He's not the one sitting in the forest. No, you guys are the ones, believe it or not. I look at this group, and it's a mixed bag of people. It's colorful. Look at it. You know, he's got a nice blanket on, and she's got a pretty colored hat on. It's bhakti includes everybody. The Astanga Yoga is very few can do it, right? Got it? All right, so we know that. And here you have the pictures. What's number 1? Come on, louder. Number 2? The practice. Number 3? Yes. And what's number 4?
Destination.
And number 5?
Topmost.
You got it now? Okay. How many learned something just now? Very good. And it's simple, isn't it? Because it's logical. If it is logical, I instead said if it's not simple, it's not right. And he also said if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it. So we're trying to explain it so even if a 6-year-old is sitting here, he said, yes, I see it. Yes, it makes sense. 918, 992. Okay, next. These are special slides, and we're showing you, we have some of those. These are online. We won't have time for this. But this I thought was amazing. Everybody wants something. Either self-centered or extended selfish. I sacrifice for my family, my country, right? But it's still selfish. I'll do something for my wife or my kids or my grandkids. But I thought this was interesting. Both are there. If I'm Italian, I'm worried about my body and what I eat. They like pizza, basil, and tomatoes. And it's the flag. I'm also attached to my country. I'm Italian. If I'm Indian, I like curry, rice, and sabji. And that's the flag. If I'm Greek, and I happen to be, I thought I was, olives and Greek cheese. And if I'm Brazilian, I like pineapple and limes, and I don't know what that is. If I'm Turkish, they have a sweet. That's theirs. I don't know what that red stuff is. I don't even know if I want to know. But they identify not only with what I eat, that's my set concentrated interest, just me, I, me, mine. But if I'm a little more generous, that's extended. I thought that was an interesting picture. So we have slides. We don't have time for all of them, but they're pretty far out, right? Okay. And any other ones? Yeah, and we talk about that. We talked about that, and I think we'll skip that. Now I think we're. Oh yeah. This is on the. Yeah, we got on our list now. That's right. We're doing the retention list. We are. Go back. Yeah. We know we have concentrated and we have extended selfishness. We know we have yoga ruksha, yoga ruda, yoga ruksha, and we know we have. The next one is what? Number 2, mind. It's either your what? Your friend or your enemy. And if it's your friend, it's Goswami, and if it's your enemy, it's what? Right, the mind takes dictation. If you're not doing yoga, it's going to do what the senses say, guaranteed. If you're taking dictation from Super Soul and Shastra and Guru, you're a Goswami, and you're saved. If you're doing this, you're finished. You degrade. You have to. You have to degrade. Okay? And then we also, I think this is important about the destination of, according to how much yoga we practice, that's how we get the next body. It's right now the devas are deciding, oh, he's going to get that kind of body, and she's going to get that one, and he's going to get, they're up there doing it right now. They got their computers working. Computer brains, huh? Don't forget, you're on video. Anything else we had here we wanted to make sure you all understood? Godasa Goswami, unsuccessful yogi, yeah, where does he go? His destination after short or long practice. The yoga ladder, that's sort of important. Astanga yoga. And there you see it. Yama, don't do this. Niyamas, do this. Asanas, sit this way. Pranayam, breathe like this. Pratyahara, withdraw the senses. Dharana, start to meditate, focus. And dhyana is your meditation is almost fixed, and samadhi you're there. Okay, that's the yoga process, and it's true of all the yoga processes. But this one, according to Bhakti, the result and the goal is a little different. For Bhakti, samadhi is being fixed. Prabhupada said it's practical samadhi, being fixed in Krishna consciousness, always serving Krishna. Others, maybe they want to go into a trance or be liberated. It depends on the level of their awareness and of their consciousness. And some focus on the hatha yoga process, and some focus on the asanas. There are different, but they all have those stages. Okay? And we did that one before. Okay? I think that's it. And we talked about that. All right? Now, I think we should be ready for, let's do our... Let's take out your, first we take a look at it. Let's go to your slokas on this page. And what we do is we just first think about the trigger words before we show you all the pictures. Because now we're going to walk through the chapter. You've done the work, you know the basics, you know the structure. Now we're going to do the walk through the book. Walk through the chapter. Number 1, what's the word? What's the word? No pictures. We're going to just show them what they have in front of them. Look at your page, everybody. What's your word, everybody?
Mistake.
Thank you. A little louder.
Mistake.
She's good. Come Come on, you guys. I know what we can do. We can say the ladies say it once and the men say it the second time. A little competition. What is it?
Mystic.
That's working. Yes, there has to be a little transcendental competition. What's the next word?
Renunciation.
Yes, now everybody, that's what it, otherwise I was just beating a dead husk. What's the third word?
Neophyte.
Next one? Wow, you guys suddenly woke up. You see, this is what you call a strategy. I can work like anything and everybody just sits there. I wish she'd go away. Now, everybody's trying harder to beat the opposition. It happens in the spiritual world too. Okay, what's number 4?
Renounce.
I don't know who's winning. It sounds pretty close. How about number 5? Deliver. Oh, good. They're fast too. Okay. What's number 6? Enemy. Yeah, this is called also an echo game. They do this with kids. You know, you echo something, you hear it twice, and that's a way to remember. Okay, what's the next one?
Conquered.
Right, conquered. And what's next?
Pebbles.
Pebbles and? Pebbles, okay, that one. Well, what do we do with pebbles, right? Besides put them in the aquarium. And what's next?
Equal.
And this one? Yes. No, you don't want to make it simultaneous. Okay. Now let's look at the pictures. Ready? You just do this first, because now you know some words, and you know we're going to hear about beginners, and we're going to hear about the mind, and we're going to have about enemy. Okay, number 1 picture. What was the word?
Mystic.
And there he is. Who's the mystic? Prabhupada. Wait a minute. It doesn't look like he's not sitting in the forest. Yes, the true mystic is he who does his duty without attachment to the results. Not the one who sits and lights no fire and performs no duty. So they've got it wrong. Right? Number 2, what was your word, everybody?
Renunciation.
Renunciation. And who's really renounced? This person. He has given up the desire for sense gratification. And there's Sanatana Goswami. He had to get rid of the blanket. Remember the story? Get rid of that blanket. A mendicant doesn't walk around with a very expensive blanket. And the next one was what?
Neophyte.
Yeah, the neophyte, even in the Ashtanga Yoga process, depends on externals. Sitting postures, right? The body. Even in the neophyte stage. Internal hasn't been reached yet. I have to get under control. Then that was number 4. And he knows that he has to give up material means. Material activities. Next. But if he's elevated, what does he do? He neither acts for sense gratification or engages in fruitive activities. Now this is the Goswamis. And they were active. They were writing books, running temples. They didn't sit around. But they were completely renounced on an elevated level. They're not just sitting around. You didn't see the Goswamis just sitting around in yoga postures. No. Next. Now, this one. Deliver. What is the business of your mind? You have not only the team viewer all the time, you have your mind with you all the time. So why do you need to control the mind? That's the principle of yoga practice. And it has to deliver you from bondage. That's the purpose of yoga. The mind has to get me out of jail. Or keep me here, one or the other. So here's an example. She gave up everything. She did what Haridas told her. She delivered herself. And she chanted all day long. That's a success story. Next. What's the word?
Enemy.
Yes, if for one who's conquered the mind, he says the mind is your friend. And if you haven't, what is your mind?
Worst enemy.
So if you're walking around, you've got it all the time. Is it going to be your friend or your enemy? You're not going to get rid of it. It's going to be one or the other. Okay, next. And if you've conquered it, you've attained tranquility. You're on the Brahma. You're released. Heat and cold, happiness to distress, friend and enemy. I've conquered the mind. I don't see in duality anymore. Who's that? Does anybody know who that is? Louder? Yes, Yudhisthira. He threw off the robes and the this and walked up and he goes up to the mountain. That's renunciation. They don't hang on to the job forever. Those guys are renounced. Okay, and he sees, what's his vision now? He sees, the next one was, what was the word, everybody? Pebbles. Pebbles, stones, and gold as the same. He sees Krishna in everything. Super Soul's in the stone, he's on the floor. We're sitting on Super Soul. And he's everywhere. You can't get away from him. So he sees it with that kind of equanimity. And even more advanced, he will see what? There you see black and white. He will see friends and enemies equally. This is not something Prabhupada says you can do artificially. He said that will be trying for mental equilibrium. It won't work. It only comes from purification, and you actually get to that platform. You can't just sit around, because I've been listening to the other classes. You can't just say, I'm going to see my friends and the tiger and somebody I hate equally. You can't. You can only do it when you're purified. You won't be bothered. Equal mind. He sees everybody, sinners. He'll see even the, worst person on the planet. He sees Krishna in his heart. Super soul. Okay, next. That finishes those 9. Okay, let's go to our sheet. Let's do the next ones really quickly. We have a long stretch. We're going to break it up into 2. Everybody's going to have to be a little bit austere now because this is a little long. Pebblestones equal. Okay, next section was stages of yoga practice. Now this is pretty simple. If you want to do Ashtanga yoga, this is how you do it. You don't go to the yoga center and sit with 200 people. Number 1, what's your word?
Secluded.
Yeah, we're going to go okay, yeah, number 1 was what?
Secluded.
Secluded. Okay, secluded place. And number 2?
Kusha.
Kusha.
And purify.
And what?
Purify.
Purify. Kusha grass and purify. Okay, and then what are you going to do?
Straight.
Yes, you're going to you're going to sit straight and then what?
Meditate.
Meditate. Sit straight and meditate. Try it for very long. Then what are you going to do?
Kingdom.
Yeah, that's going to be the result. Well, I got to get something for this. Kingdom, right? Kingdom of what? Someplace on the planet where there's some little monarch? No. All right, what's next?
Sleep.
Everybody? Sleep. Come on, if any of you are asleep, you're not missing. Some people, I see them going like... I try to keep it so everybody stays awake at least, It may take a little bit of work, but, keep everybody awake. It's hard and it's winter, and when it's cold, everybody wants to go to sleep. Okay, what's the next word?
Regulated.
What is it? Regulated. Yes, if you're not regulated, forget it. Nothing will work. And after that, what's the next thing you have to do?
Discipline.
And what's that word? Do people like that? Not in Kali Yuga. You just try to tell somebody what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I'm God. And who are you? Right? Try that with kids these days. Boy, nobody likes discipline, right? They don't like it. No way. All right, what's next?
Lamp.
Lamp. Yeah, well, what's that have to do with this? We're going to find out. It means your mind is like a... Okay. Then what's next? Oh, we've got 4 words. So we have samadhi, and these are what happens. There are 4 combined verses here. Then you're going to be what? Joyous. And then you're going to think there's no greater what? And then finally, what will you get?
Freedom.
Freedom. Everybody wants freedom. You see all the ads, you get a motorcycle and everybody's rushing on the highway. I'm free. And then, of course, they run into the traffic jam. I'm free. You know, nobody's free. It's just, or is anything free in this world? No. Okay, then next.
Determination.
Yes, that's what it's going to take. Determination. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
You going to give up, anybody here? After this class? No, you're going to go out there. I'm going to do it. Okay, next is what?
Step.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, step by step. It's a gradual process. That's how we're going through this chapter. Everybody's being very determined because this is a bit austere. 47 slokas in 1 hour, folks. And what's the next word?
Wonders.
What happens to the mind? What does the mind do?
Wonders.
Anybody had that problem? They say that the average attention span is 10 seconds. And also they say that wherever your mind goes, that's where your heart is. Ooh. That girl is really cute. Or, oh, I bet that kirtan singer is really handsome. That's where your heart is. When your heart's in Krishna, you won't notice all those other things. Just try it. Oh, that piece of cake looks really good. That's where the mind goes. You go with it. So what are you supposed to do with it? Let it go? No, you what? Pull it back. Yeah, come on. Okay, and then what's next?
Qualitative.
Yeah, perfectional stage of this, I realize I'm qualitatively one with the super soul. Am I the same? No, that's the big mistake. I'm qualitatively the same, but quantitatively, no. Super soul is seeing everybody. Can you see everybody? No. So don't, fall into the Mayavadi trap. It is completely insane. The Mayavadi philosophy is completely insane. Any devotee can figure that out. Now, do you want to look at the pictures? Okay, this entertainment now. You know it. Okay, what kind of a place?
Secluded.
Right, and the first principle was he should always engage his body, mind, and self in what? Relationship with the, you just don't go out into the forest and sit there and think it's going to happen. You have to keep your body, mind, and yourself, that means your soul, in relationship with the Supreme. Then it will work. It won't work. If you go to the forest, I guarantee you're going to sit there and you're going to be nervous. When's the tiger coming to eat me? Right? Or you're going to think about, why did I leave my home? This is really cold. My wife really cooked a nice meal. You're going to be miserable. Prabhupada said they're miserable. He said most of them are very hard-hearted and they're miserable. If they don't attain success, they're not happy. Okay, we know that much. Now, what do I do? Yeah, kusha grass. Not kusha oil, kusha grass. And it points eastward. I sit on a kusha mat. And it points in a certain direction. It's very scientific. Kusha mat. And the seat should be what? Not too or too. It's very specific. I don't just go to sit any place or sit on a log. Okay? And it's sacred. It's best if it's sacred place. Sacred place. Okay? Next. And I have to do what? Yeah, I have to purify. I couldn't find a picture of how do you purify the mind? How do I find a picture? But at least, you do Achman, right? You purify the mind. Purify the mind. And I fix the mind on what?
1 point.
1 point. Not on everything around me, looking out for the monkeys, looking out for the, Next. Then what do? I sit straight. So all of my chakras are in a row. Like that. For a long time. Like they meditated for 60,000 years. Satya Yuga. Oh my, I can't even imagine 60 minutes. 60 seconds. Let's boil it down to reality. And I stare at what? Yes, I don't stare at, the trees and the beautiful birds. Tip of the, just try that for very long. It hurts. I can't do it. Okay, next. Then what do I do?
Meditate.
I meditate on what? Yes, I meditate with an unagitated mind upon who? Me. Who's me? Yeah, super soul. Or now it's this guy. He's an advanced version on the heart. And what is the purpose? He's the what? Ultimate goal of life. Krishna is our goal. What is our goal? Krishna. Anybody not know that? Are we just here? We're trying to go somewhere. Next. Now what is the result? I enter the kingdom of God. Not a bad deal. It's nice up there. What Prabhupada tells us. He knows, we don't know. That's what it's like. Okay, next. Now, here are some rules you have to follow in general. This is why this chapter is important. What's the word?
I should not sleep.
Sleep. And I got a nice picture of a cozy bed and a nice sheet, plant nearby so I have some oxygen. A yogi, what's the problem if you sleep too much or too little? They're not good. Eat too much or too little? No. Moderation is the theme here. I have to be moderate. Don't eat too much. I'll get diabetes. Don't eat too little. Prabhupada says you'll get TB. I sleep too much. If I sleep too little, I go crazy. You go crazy. If you're not on that platform, you can't do it. 6 hours is good. Next. And what am I? There it is, 3 o'clock.
Wake up at 3 for my
Hey, there she is. Don't I find good pictures? Everybody agree? I want to make this relevant. Is this the time, folks? Up and at 'em. I can't make the bell ring. Ding 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 ding. No snooze alarm, right? Okay. What's the next thing I do? Uh-oh. Do I choose the right or the left way? What should I do? Yes, I'm well established. And here's another. Sometimes I can't pick which slide I like. I thought both of them were good. Right, he's said to be established in yoga when he disciplines his mental activities and he's situated in transcendence. He is disciplined. You're there. You made it. But you didn't make it without trying. Next. What was the word? Oh, lamp. And what's your mind like?
Beavers.
It's a lamp in a windless place. When there's no wind, the lamp doesn't. It's like that. Our minds are going, oh, right? Like everywhere. The lamp, that is the mind of a perfectly disciplined yogi. And he's steady in his meditation, like a lamp. Okay, next. That is what?
Samadhi.
And what's that one? Yay! Who was a typical example? We go there, samadhi. That's our acharya. We can be so happy to have an acharya like this. None other has ever walked the earth like this one. And he's characterized by his ability to see the self by the pure mind and rejoice in the self. Next. And what is his quality? Yeah, he's joyous. Narada was like that. Once Narada had darshan, he was just like, oh, Krishna, I'm so happy. And then? No, I thought that was a cute one. That's a weather vane. And on the top is like, you use that for measuring how much you buy, how many pounds of ghee you buy or whatever. There's nothing greater. I don't want anything else. Dhruva said that. I don't want anything else. I've seen you. This is it. No greater gain. This is the result of yoga. Now what's the next? What's the fun? Yeah, freedom from what? Yeah, freedom from this. Material contact. That's a good deal. We're all still there. We want to get free. And of course the bird is always representative of getting free. That was that section. All right, let's now find out what it's like to love Krishna.
Guru Maharaj.
So turn back to your list. We have 9 here. We got through the tough one, because that's the tough one, meditating. Now we have realized that Krishna is the goal of seeing Supersoul. That's the reason. Do I just want to be happy with the Vishnu Murti? I want to go further. I want to have you can't really have a relationship with Supersoul. Not like with Krishna. With Krishna, you have a ras with Krishna. What's the first word, ladies?
Determination.
Oh, were there more?
Yeah, there are more like 27.
Oh, my God. Okay, let's just read those really fast. I'm sorry. After lamp was what? Determination? Yeah, did we okay, yeah, that's Dhruva. And we'll just look at the pictures really fast. And what's the next one? Step by step. There we are. Yama, niyama. That's it. That's a step-by-step process. And then what? Oh, everybody's got that problem, right? Space case. They use the word now, be mindful, not mindless. That's the top word now in yoga in the world. Mindful. Don't let it run around. Be focused. And this is important. Gold and the gold. Right. Krishna is the big one. We're the little ones. Right? We are tiny. We're gold, spiritually. But he's the big one. Quantitatively, he's everything. Qualitatively, we're the same, but not equal. Achintya, abheda, bheda. Simultaneously one but different. Also, we don't try to become the gold mine. We're gold particles. Don't try to become the gold mine because you're a fool. You won't be everything. You won't be the ocean. You won't be any of those things. Absurd. Next. We ready for the next section? Huh? Okay. Quickly now. Let's say the word super fast. Speed read. What was the first word? Service. Ladies, men? Gentlemen. Service. That's the thing. You don't really serve the super soul so much. But Krishna, that's the purpose of that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's why we're here. We threw down the job and we walked off. Sorry, Krishna, I don't want to serve you anymore. I'm going to serve my senses. And that's why we're here. It's pretty embarrassing. Number 2. What is it? Everywhere. Well, what's everywhere? Yeah, we're going to find out. Yeah, what's everywhere. Okay. And number 3? Lost. Number 3? Lost. Yeah. Is anybody lost in this class? I hope not. Everybody following? You okay? Okay, what's next? Circumstances. That means all the time. Not just once in a while. Not just, 24/7. What's the next word? Equality. What's the next word? Equality. Equality. Yes, that's an important word. And what's the next one? Impractical. Now Arjuna is going to say, wait a minute, this sounds wonderful, but he has 2 slokas now. He's sharing his doubts. And what was it he was saying? Impractical. Wait a minute, Krishna sounds great, but I'm sorry, I'm a Kshatriya, I got a family, I got a kingdom. I can't do that. And what was the next one? Wind. Because my mind is like what? Turbulent, like the, what is it? Obstinate. Wind, right? Can you control the wind? It's easier to do that than control the mind. Anybody found that out? And what's the next? Now Krishna is going to counter his argument. And what does Krishna say? Possible. What does Krishna say? Possible. It is possible. It's hard. I agree. I'm not going to argue with you, but it's going to be what? Hard, but it's possible. And? Yes, he's going to show you the context. One whose mind is what? Unbridled. Yeah, he's going to have a hard time. But one who controls it, he says, I guarantee success. Now Arjuna's a little nervous. Well, but what if I don't make it? So now he asks some more questions. Okay, you want to see the pictures for that one really fast? Okay, let's go. Service. Now that's a lot more fun than just sitting in the forest. Isn't it? How many of you have little deities at home? You like to feed them, right? You like to, yeah, it's nice. It's personal. And this deity looks really happy. Man, I'm going to get something wonderful in about a minute. Service, loving service to the Lord. That's where you get your happiness. You don't get that so much with Super Soul. Next. Now, everywhere is what?
Super soul.
Yeah, you see Krishna everywhere. That is the symptom of one who's attained perfection. I see Krishna everywhere. And if I see either his material or spiritual energies, everything is part of Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the original perfectional state. It's what we want. It's 100%. Next. Lost. That was Sudama with Krishna when they were in the Gurukula. They got lost at night. But Sudama was with who? He was with Krishna. So one who is in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is he's never lost to Krishna, and Krishna's never lost to him. I thought that was a really cute little picture. Help you? Remember that one? Yeah, that's the vision of a person in Krishna consciousness. He doesn't feel lost. Prabhupada was in the middle of New York, going upstairs where there were people vomiting, and he was in the spiritual world. Nobody else could do that. Okay, next. All circumstances. Oh, yes. They send the prostitute, but no, Haridasas. Equipoised. In all circumstances, you're unaffected. Sounds good, huh? Next. Equality. Yes, you can see. Why do I see equally? Because I see another conditioned soul, and he has to have the 4 sufferings and the 3 kleshas. I have to feel sorry for him. Whether it's the Brahmin, the dog eater, the cow, I have compassion. That's Prabhupada. Compassion. And someone who's on that platform, he has to have compassion because he knows, I don't care if it's the Prime Minister, the Queen of England, or if it's the latest movie star, they have those problems. I have to help them. Next. Now, Arjuna's arguing. It seems a little what? Impractical, because the mind is restless and unsteady and okay. Next. And it's more like trying to capture the wind, right? More difficult. Have you ever heard of these hurricanes? Are they doing very good at capturing those? No way. And Krishna's going to say, wait a minute. Even Narada was trying to argue with Dhruva. Come on, Dhruva, you're a little boy. Give up your false pride. Go home and play with your friends. And when you're older, try the meditative process. No, Dhruva said, I'm going to do it. And he was determined, and he did it. Right? And we're advised that it is for the mind, if you're not bridled, if you're unbridled, you will not be successful. But if you are, by right means, you will be what? Success. Now that's how that ends. Now Arjuna's wondering, wait a minute, now I have another question. Let's look quickly at the last section, big section. Then we wrap it up with the finale. Destination of the unsuccessful yogi. The first word, Mataji's?
Unsuccessful.
Prabhu's? Unsuccessful. Well, you said success, but what if? What if? There has to be the if. And what's the next word?
Ribbon.
Ribbon, yes, ribbon. Some people say ribbon. It's ribbon. It rhymes with driven. Ribbon. And what's the word?
Ribbon.
Ribbon. Be sure you pronounce it right. And what's the next word?
Doubt.
He has a doubt. What is it? Doubt. And what's the next one?
Auspicious.
Yeah, no, and Krishna's going to answer the doubts. Anything you ever do in spiritual life is what? Auspicious. And then what's the next word?
Aristocracy.
Is aristocracy, what is it, Prabhus? Come on, louder. Can you say it? Aristocracy. Yeah, that's you. That means if you become the Queen of England or something like that. Okay. She needs a Bhagavad-Gita. I've heard she said something. She said, "Oh, sometimes I just wish I could surrender to Krishna." I don't know. Badri Narayan Maharaj said that. I thought one time. I thought, boy, she should. She should. Okay. Next, aristocracy. And what's the next word? Transcendentalist. And what's the transcendentalist? Good. Everybody's awake here. And what's the next word?
Revive.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. Revive our Krishna consciousness. It went to sleep. And what's the word?
Revive.
Revives. We're here doing that, I hope. Okay. And what's the next word?
Inquisitive.
Yes, yes. The person who's done that before, he's what? He's inquisitive. And what's the last word? That was the last one, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. What was the last word? Washed. Yeah, that means you're completely free of any contamination. This is, you got tamagun, and now you've got rajagun, and those degrade. And then you have at least come to goodness, satya good, because you're in a better position, but you can still be, you're still contaminated. You have to come to the completely washed state, pure. Everybody wants pure food, pure water. How about pure bhakti? Sounds good? Let's try for that one, huh? It's tough, isn't it? Okay, now here he is. The typical example is Jud Bharat. He gave up the kingdom, but at the last minute he thought of the deer. So he's the example of what happens, unsuccessful yogi, but it's not all over. So Arjuna is wondering, what happens? Does he lose out? No perfection? And the next one, quickly. I love this picture. I found this picture. There's a cloud by itself and a man walking off. A riven cloud is a cloud, according to Prabhupada, that broke away from a small cloud and tried to join the bigger cloud, but it didn't make it. And it's by itself, it's not connected to either one. And there it was, a picture. I looked up clouds that were only cloud in the sky. There were some. This was one of them. But it also showed this hiker. He looks like somebody that tried Ashtanga yoga, doesn't it? And he gave up. So what's going to happen to him? Does he lose on, I didn't have sense gratification, and I didn't get the goal of this, so where am I? Nowhere. I lost. It was lose-lose. It wasn't win-lose, lose-win. But Krishna consciousness, everybody, is win-win. It's win-win. Yes. Next picture. And that was his doubt. Please dispel my doubt. Right? Now the next picture. Now Krishna says, listen, anything you do in spiritual life, activities that are auspicious, and there we have, this happens to be the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Anything you do is auspicious, and you will never be overcome by evil. Don't worry about it. That's why we gave you those lotus foot marks to meditate on. When your mind starts going, take a look at the picture. What does that one mean? What does that mean? All right, next picture. You will either take birth in an aristocratic family, right? Maybe, who knows, you might be the next, the next baby, and we don't want that. We don't want that. Aristocratic means nobility. It's like a high birth. They may not be that wealthy, but they usually are, and they're usually very beautiful. Look at all the present, the princesses of this and that, and man, they become fashion icons, right? Everybody's snapping their picture. Okay, aristocracy or righteous people. They're pious. That's your choice. Next one. This picture is rare. Take a look at this one. This is a very rare photograph of Prabhupada with Bhaktisiddhanta. Not too often, huh? And in this case, this is an example in the purport. Or if you're very advanced, after long practice, you take birth in the family of transcendentalists, right? Who are advanced in spiritual knowledge. Yogi, that's that category, not the other two. This is a third category. These people are in the category of transcendentalists. Bhaktisiddhanta is the perfect example. His father was, my God. Bhakti Vinod for your dad, right? And he's the ray of Vishnu that he prayed for. And then, of course, Prabhupada said my father was a very pious man. He was doing puja all day. Once in a while he did business. Very beautiful picture. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Prabhupada, look at how Prabhupada looks. Such a young man, huh? That one. Next. He revives his God consciousness. Now that's Jad Parat. That's the example you get. And he remembered when he was a deer. When he's a deer, he didn't mix with anybody. And when he became Jad Parat, he pretended though he was dumb, deaf, and blind. They do that. Rishabh did that also. They just don't want to talk to anybody. And you get that also story in the Avanti Brahmana. They walk around like, you get many examples of that in the Bhagavatam. So here you have him, and he's converting Rahugana. Rahugana, my God, he's self-realized. I better pay obeisance. I'm criticizing him, and my God, I offended him. And then the next one, inquisitive. Now here you have the sages at Naimisharanya, and they're asking questions. This is the symptom of someone who's a devotee. Why am I suffering? Where do I come from? Where am I going? If you're not doing that, you're an animal, really. So that is, he's above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. He doesn't want to do pujas. He doesn't want to go to the heavenly planets. He doesn't want even elevation on this earth, a better wife, good education for all of his kids. He wants spiritual life. That's why they're inquisitive. The sages of Naimisharanya are the ones that are the symbol of inquiry. Okay? And he's washed of all contamination. That's Dhruva. You got the little, right. Touched his head and he suddenly was empowered to speak. Dhruva was completely cleansed. Okay, next. Are we ready for the last two? Last two. What's the first one? Did I watch? Did I have one more? Yeah, this is the topmost. And what's the word? Greater. And what is Prabhu? Greater. Yes, that's the key word. It's 3 times. Greater, greater, greater. We don't mean she's greater. We mean greater, greater. And what's the next word?
Highest.
And what is it? Highest. Okay. Now these two sum up not only the chapter but the whole section. Because we've had all the other yogas, right? A devotee. Krishna's saying, be a yogi. A yogi's greater than the ascetic. That means one who's just austere. He's greater than the empiricist, that one who studies knowledge. And he's also greater than the fruitive worker, who's, forget that one altogether. In all circumstances, be a yogi, and he's defined a yogi. A yogi is one who does his work, but he's unattached to the results, and he's detached about it, and he's linking with Krishna. And what is the symptom of the topmost yogi? What is the symptom? He is what? He's the highest. He's and there are 4 qualities given here, right? He's always, and of all the yogis, he has great what? Faith. Let's go for those 2 slides now. Let's go for, this is greater than, greater the empiricist, greater than the fruitive worker, greater than the aesthetic. And he's boarding a boat to go to America? Wait a minute, have you got the definition right? Yes, according to not only Krishna, but Prabhupada. Krishna's saying that in chapter 2, he's saying it in chapter 3, he's saying it in chapter 5, he's saying it in chapter 6, he's saying it in chapter 18. This is the greatest. This is the greatest. And you see, why are we all sitting here? Because of that. I would have been a worm in stool, guaranteed. Guaranteed. I don't even talk about it. Now, this, in all circumstances, be a what? Yogi, but that kind of yogi. Next. And who's the highest?
Prahlad.
Little Prahlad, yes. He gave us the 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam. We have so much. We have the 9 processes. We have the holy name. We have Prabhupada. We have everything. Don't blow it. And he's the highest because, and he has great faith. He thinks of me within himself. He renders transcendental loving service, not like, oh God, I got to do that. Transcendental love. And finally, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and that makes him the what kind of yogi? The highest yogi. And Krishna ends it with his what?
Opinion.
My final opinion. Bam, that's it. Okay? We have a few short little clips, a few seconds each one. Very short. Because we always like to have a little dessert. Did that help you? You have a picture of this chapter? Is this chapter good? Yes. A lot better than we might have thought. Yes. How did you like it? Okay? Okay. Now, this is Prabhupada the tiger. I like to find those. This is Prabhupada. He's not sitting in the forest, not saying anything, staring at his nose. This is the top. This clip is for topic number 1. Okay, everybody? Go ahead.
Very strong in Australia? No, not strong or weak. We have reached our mission. Tell somebody who are intelligent, they're coming and joining this one. You think your prisoners like a businessman goes everywhere? It is not that he has to find out particular customer in a particular place. He goes everywhere. Similarly, we go everywhere.
We go everywhere.
If anyone is intelligent, he is needed. He can come to Krishna consciousness. That's all. Do you think your presence in Australia will make a difference to the movement here? I don't find any difference. I find the same human being, same man, same woman, same tree, same street. You have simply made a artist and this is Australia. But we see everything in the land of Krishna. That's all.
Animo. Yay. Yeah. We go up. Did you like what he said? And did you notice his expression? Man, like I wouldn't have wanted to be that reporter. We go everywhere, right? And he's in a businessman. He doesn't go look for the right customer. He goes everywhere. And he said, you say demarcation, Australia. We say this is Krishna's land. That's all. Prabhupada was, boy, he would cut those reporters to shreds. Okay, now we have a little, a clip, which is just perfect for the book distribution marathon. It has the famous can't, chant, chant, and it's hard to read it. The text is there, but it's ending, and this is for topic number 4. How nothing is lost in bhakti. Even if you do 1%, it carries over. If you do 50%, it carries over. It's permanent bank account. That you're sitting here, the knowledge you're getting is avyayam. It's eternal knowledge. It goes with you. If I taught something else here, like physics or social science, no, that changes. But this doesn't change. It's eternal and it goes with you. So we're going to see now how he's going to say, if you give a book, that person sacrifices, he makes advancement. He doesn't know it. It's hard to watch. You can see the text. Try it. This, unfortunately, is an old video. Go ahead. Is that the one? Can you see? Probably it's sort of hard to pick.
The lady is requesting the husband, chant, and the husband is answering, God. So this is better. You are requesting everyone, please chant, and they are replying, God. This is the misquote. unfortunate creature as fortunate.
Hey.
Therefore, when we sleep and chant, or when we say card, we go on chanting. And somehow or other, we put on some literature in his hand. He became unfortunate. He would have squandered his hard-earned money in so many nasty, sinful ways. And if he purchases one book, where am I going to price? His money is properly utilized. The beginning of Krishna consciousness is there because he is giving some money, hard-earned money, but this Krishna consciousness movement is getting some spiritual profit. He's not moving, he's getting some spiritual profit.
So there, encourage you to make them fortunate. You're fortunate. So if you have compassion, you want to make other people what? Yeah, they're unfortunate. They don't even know it. Now, this is a little clip from an old 2009 video. I've shown clips of it for so many years, but it's just a couple of seconds, a minute, very short, that shows you the different types of yoga processes. This is made by the Russian Bhakti-Vedanta Institute. It's that film is still good. It's still amazing. And they take this obviously from the Gita, and they talk about the different yoga processes, and they show, this is for the final section, sloka number 46. Because it shows how Prabhupada also writes in the purports here, that if you do karma yoga, you're making sacrifices for your, external, the body. And if you're doing gyan, the mind, renunciation, what do you study? And if you do Astanga, it's the meditative process. But why is bhakti superior? Because it entails the others, but it is transcendental completely. That's why bhakti is superior. So you'll just see the way they show that. This is a wonderful preaching video. Even though it's 2009, it's still timeless. Okay, so let's watch that one, and that's it for today. And we have some fruit for you, and also, keep your things, but return your slates.
God through his activities, karma, or through his physical body. The second stage, Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga, means that the connection is through spiritual knowledge or our subtle body. The third stage is Ashtanga Yoga, eightfold yoga, a relationship with God through meditation and breath control. The first 4 stages of this practice are known to us as Hatha Yoga, and 4 higher levels are referred to as Raja Yoga. Bhagavad-Gita proclaims Bhakti Yoga as the highest form of yoga, relationship with God through love and devotion of the soul. This practice includes elements of all previous systems, but surpasses them all because it involves our most profound essence, the soul. The rest of the yoga practices involve only the shell of the soul, the physical and subtle body.
Make it simple. I like that. They talk about the other process. They involve the shell, but the bhakti involves the soul. I hope you found that helpful, and we hope you all, make it back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And there, if you want to get any of this material, just send me an email. I'll put you on the list. Mai does it. And even, I just press a button. That's all I have to do. And you have in one email, you have 3 years worth of slides like this. Okay? Good deal. Okay? Okay, everybody.
Is written here the email address?
What's that? Oh yeah, this was an important point. Thank you. Babai and I study together when we try to do these. What should we put here? Okay. Prabhupada said the material ocean is a big, vast ocean that you need to cross with a boat. And you have this picture here. This is our final thing. And he said, and what is the boat? He said, the lotus feet of Krishna. That's it. So, everybody, That's your boat. You got it. Okay. Thank you for coming. All goes to Srila Prabhupada.